He said, pour some out in the sink. I said, oh, it'll be the right height by the time I get to the sink.
What's up, profitable stylist? We are having all kinds of coffee problems, technical problems. We're continuing
Yeah.
on from last week's technical problems. So, we're going to be going over a really interesting topic that kind of hit me in the head here. Why do people stop making money? Like why do stylists hit a plateau? So that's what we're going to be discussing. And Bernard's got an
Well,
interesting take on this.
yeah, yeah. Why aren't you just cutting hair still? Just cutting hair, like her hair off and her hair off. Why aren't you just cutting hair? A friend of mine that doesn't really understand the uh, the difference in cosmetologists and barbers. This is how he said it, and I thought it could be a little offensive to barbers. And he doesn't know that some barbers are killing it, making a lot of money doing men's haircuts, beards, and other things. But on the outside looking in, he said, why aren't all of your friends just barbers, just hair cutters? Because that's what he thinks looking at it. And I said, why aren't all stylists? I mean, why aren't all stylists just cutting hair? He said, answer me, Bernard. And we happened to be in the pool at the time. We're talking about marketing. We're just standing around. He's drinking a beer and he's asking me. And I said, I think I know where you're going with this. He said, right. Why aren't they just cutting hair? Why aren't people just cutting hair? I said, because they want to make more money, probably. He's like, right, sure. Some people are artistic, creative, and they want to do some of these things just for the fun of it. But most people moving from men's hair to women's hair because it's most of the time more hair, more money, more services, color, highlights, balayage, ombre, all the fancy words we've got now, root melts, all this blending, all that stuff pays more. So you make more. And so, sure, some of us are doing it for fun. Most of us are doing it for fun and the money. Some of us are just doing it for the money, but you're doing it to make more money. And now, where are you? Where are you? From the lowest, just cutting hair, doing nothing else, all the way up to the top where you're just doing anything and everything your license allows you to do, or just the high end services. So, to me, I know there's always anomalies. I know some people just cut hair and charge an ungodly amount of money just for haircuts because they're the best, right? But most of us are just pretty good or okay at everything, and we have to choose the things that make more money. Like me, hair replacement, hair extensions. I mean, I did the spray tanning when it first came out. I did the eyelash extensions. I did artificial nails. I tried every single thing that came out because it was the new thing. It made a little more money. I sold the products that put more money in my pocket. I even tried a few network marketing businesses. I was trying to make more money to feed all those mouths. I had 5 kids in my early days and had a sixth one about 9 years ago. So I'm trying to feed some kids, trying to figure out how can I live a little more comfortably because these kids are eating a lot of food and doing a lot of other things. And so to me, it's like some of you guys are struggling. You're at the bottom and you're like, how can I do more? How can I get paid more? What can I do to make more money? And then some of you, I would say most of you, are super comfortable. You're like, and I say comfortable in a way where you're like, I'm good. I'm
I'm good
making,
because I'm
I'm
getting the
good.
bills paid. I got a couple of extra bucks. I can go to Starbucks and get a coffee. I can go to a party every other weekend, something like that. That's what
Right.
people consider good.
And they might be booked solid there and they think
Right.
they've arrived and they're done. I was messaging a guy the other day who wanted to buy our extensions, and he said he hasn't had time to go into the pack because he works so many hours and so many days. And this is hard for me to not sound arrogant, but I said, sounds like it's time to raise your prices. And he just thinks I'm rude. He says, well, he tells me what he's charging. Well, I'm charging the most you can charge for a haircut and color. He tells me the prices. I don't want to say it on
Yeah,
here
yeah.
because I'm at this price for a haircut and this much for color in my town. I'm at the top of my market. No, you are not. Nobody is at the top of their market. You might be higher than everybody else in your market, but that's not the top of your market. There is no freaking top. There's no top. I mean, I hate to bring up a name, and some people will love him and some will hate him. But I haven't even heard much about him lately. But Guy Tang, who cares
Okay.
if you like him or not? He's in this little private room. I don't know if it's a bedroom or closet in his house, a salon suites. I don't know what it is. He's in this little tiny room. He's doing amazing color, and stupid dances or great dances, opinion, obviously. But you hear what he's charging, it's in the thousands of dollars. It's basically a session. You spend four, five, or $6,000 and you'll spend half a day with him. And he'll do your hair, but he'll also put it on videos and it's part of his marketing. But it doesn't matter what city he's in. He's not thinking like, oh, I'm more expensive than everybody in town. I have to stop. There's no stopping. It's supply and demand. If you're booked solid, you go up. And as you go up, in his case, he's doing a lot of work. He didn't sound super happy, not guy, but the guy I'm talking to in Texas. I hope he sees this. I can't use names though, but I hope he sees it and realizes. So when he tells me I'm at the top of my market, well, that's great. It really is. It's an accomplishment. Good for you. But don't stop there, because you can still raise your prices because you're not at the top of your game. Because if you are charging, I think it was actually $80 for a haircut, and the bottom line is you're booked solid. If you're booked solid, then what he needs to do is raise his prices 10 or 20%, purposely lose some of those clients so he can open up some time. Can you imagine, if you raise your prices, this is rough math, if you raise your prices 10% and you lose 10% of your clients, your income's still the same, but you're working 10% less. So you've got this space. You've got this space to breathe a little, slow down a little if you want, or learn something new and add a new service. So that's why I mention it. Raise your prices, make some of those customers leave, but that's where the problems come in. Why do hairdressers not raise their prices, Eddie?
They are terrified. There is this mentality that they are just absolutely terrified that they're going to lose the most annoying client they have. Who whoever, yes, whoever is the most pain in the ass, whoever is the loudest barking chihuahua son of a bitch, whoever is the worst client you have, that's who you're worried about.
Right. Unfortunately, that's the one that is going to stay. I
And
mean,
they still stay. And they complain every time about the price. So you have to do them an extra add on service for free to compensate for the price raising. And it's like,
let them go. Let them go. You don't have to do it rudely or meanly. I know Eddie sounds like he's got a lot of passion. He gets mad at me.
I
But
can't wait for this topic.
yeah, but before we get on here, I hear him talking to clients sometimes on his phone. He's making a last minute appointment, checking something. He jokes, but he's super nice to his clients. You're super nice. You just vent on here and to your friends. But the truth is,
I'm
when you
nice. Wait, I'm nice because I have my clients trained. You've also heard them on the other side. Whatever I say to them, they're like, okay.
okay. So what else? Let's list some of the reasons why. We weren't even supposed to be doing a price increase, but that kind of is the solve to all the problems. It's
No.
usually the solve to the problems.
So
Now, let's cover a tiny bit of before the price increase. Maybe you're not booked solid and you just need more clients. See, I've had that other one. I've got one of the newer hairdressers in town, and she come to work for me. She has no clients. We're charging so much for a haircut and style, and like 2 weeks in, she's like, "Can I raise my prices?" I said, "For who? You don't even have clients." You think if you charge more money to zero clients, how much more are you going to make? I mean, what? Oh, the 3 clients you did last week. Oh, mosquito. So yeah, three. I mean, I said, well, I would love to raise your prices, but you first have to have some clients so that we can try to lose some of them. Because right now, the 3 you have, if we lose them, then it's detrimental. So not everybody should be raising your prices out there. I get it. Some of you guys need to work a little harder, work a little smarter, maybe get a little more talented. If you're not booked solid, there's 3 or 4 reasons why. You know, you just got started, you're just not there yet. You're not marketing enough, or maybe you're just not good enough. So, you know, maybe you didn't go to a good school, or you just didn't put the time or work in, or you're not getting those finishes just right. Go ahead.
I'm going to add in there, or you are good, but you're not creating the value of your goodness. I've seen a lot of good stylists,
That's a good point.
but they can't perform a service. And there's a difference between doing a good haircut, doing a good color extension, whatever you're doing. You could be really good at it, but you just the entire experience while the client is sitting in your chair is just a horrendous experience. It just sucks. So I'll
And
add
some,
that on there.
yeah, and some of these things just can't be, you know, you. It takes more than just learning how to do hair. Sometimes it's social skills, but for the most part, you're right. I've got all these stylists in my own salon. I got the one that's really good, but making half the money of a stylist that's not as good. And she's like, what is going on here? Because some people are amazing at building relationships, and they don't have to be that great at hair. I have to say, in my career, uh, I got to where I was pretty good at certain things. I got to be an expert at certain parts of doing hair, but for the most part, and for most of my career, I was not that great at doing hair. I was pretty good. I was making a lot of money when I was bad at doing hair because of the relationship skills. But then because I kept those clients long enough and had really good open communication, they actually helped me become a better stylist. And then when I started traveling and teaching, well, when I started doing hair extensions, that was like that little thing where I was really good kind of quickly. And I was like, oh my God, I love this tedious work. It's different than doing hair. It's more like mechanic type work, you know? And so I was mechanically putting this hair in where it would stay really well. And I wasn't super good right at first, but I got the concept of why it wasn't working well, got really good at it. Then that's what I built my foundation on. And then hair replacement. And then my styling and other things came around. And so now I go into my own salon and I see when they go to curl hair, like I should do like the ends of this blonde right here. So many hairdressers will get all of this smooth and then right here to be frizzy because they just didn't quite finish it on the ends just right. And those ends will look frizzy and just blow the whole style out of proportion. So maybe you need to up your game a little bit, your talent level in the few things you do so that people stay with you. Focus on the business side of rescheduling. And we've done videos all about that so that you keep the few clients you do, reschedule them so you do more of them each week, maybe do some free services, get booked solid. But if you're booked solid, which is where most people get stuck, first of all, don't be comfortable there. You can do so much more. You can make so much more. And this is the one that I don't think enough hairdressers, you said your reasons. I'm going to say my reasons why they don't raise their prices. They're friends with their clients. They're such good friends with them. It's almost like going to dinner with somebody and you know, you're getting ready to split the bill and they feel like almost like they're asking the other couple to pay more than half. It's like, would you mind paying more than half this time? You would never do that at a dinner, right? It's always going to be like, I'll get the bill or let's split it right down the middle. But you would never ask to pay a little more. That's the feeling they get. It's like, I need you to pay a little more for your hair today. What? Why would you want me to pay more? That's what they think is going to happen. But that same freaking client will have a daughter or a family member go to hair school, and then they say, hey, Aunt Susie, I need a model for blah, 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 and I can do your hair for free. For free. Oh.
Or
And then
or
they
you
do.
find out that they went to even more expensive restaurant with
Oh,
somebody
that's
else.
crazy. Or they go somewhere else. This is my favorite. They come to me for extensions. I do a consultation. They say, I can't pay $1,200 for extensions. So then they go down the street and pay 1,000 for extensions and then call us and complain and say they did a terrible job. I said, well, right, I told you they don't do the same kind of extensions we do. They don't stay in very well. They don't even put them in. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And they're like, but 1,200 was too much for me. Really? Because it's going to cost you more than 200 to get that hair fixed now. So they're wanting to know when they go and get the bad color job is probably my favorite. You know, they go get a bad color, spend too much money, and then they want to deal with you to fix it. A deal. You want me to be cheaper to fix it? Why should I be cheaper? I should be charging you more to fix it, but we're friends, right? So these clients, very few of them are your true friend. Like, you know, the true friend client is the one that tells you you should be raising your prices. You are cheap for what you do. There are a few rare, very few rare ones. I mean, there was a lady doing a service for my wife recently, and they were talking about what she was doing, and she said, I think if I bought that tool, I'd have to go up on my prices. I said, you should be going up on your prices. She said, you think so? I said, you're really good at what you do. You should be charging more. You're booked solid, right? She goes, I am. Just, it doesn't matter what field it's in. People are afraid to raise their prices. And it just needs to happen. If you're really good and you're booked solid, try a little bit so that you're not scared of it. But I swear they will leave you. They will leave you. So don't feel like you got to be loyal to them about the price.
I think another reason why people get scared is because they are capped off in their income, and their bills to income ratio is like right there, and they're
I don't
afraid
want
that
to
if
risk
right, they don't want to risk it, right? If they dip down just one thing, they're going to be behind, and it's almost like
everything will be screwed up.
and they're going to everything's going to be screwed up. So it's like that
That's
expression paycheck to paycheck, except we don't
yeah,
have like standard paychecks like what that expression goes with, but
right.
it's
But you're
kind of like
right.
that, you know?
No,
So
that's exactly right.
yeah, and then what ends up happening is, they can't they can't budget themselves to say I'm going to take a portion of my income and put it towards an investment or a retirement or some kind of a savings or some kind of a rainy day emergency fund. Yeah. And that's what ends up happening. So when we're talking to people, and especially when I'm talking to stylists and I'm telling them to raise their price, they really freak out. So then the other thing I say to them, well, it's like, okay, then don't raise your price. Expand your services. Do new services that you don't already do now. And then they're like, well, I don't have any time. My book is too solid. Well, then which one is it? Are you paycheck to paycheck and you are content and you're happy and you're satisfied with this? You're not. Is why we're talking over here. You're complaining. Then you need to do something else. You need to exact a change. And then so I say to them, well, readjust your day. Instead of putting in 5 12-hour days, do like 2 or 3 12-hour days, and then like something's got to change, something's gonna break, something's gonna bust. You just can't keep
You're going to get
going.
sick.
You're
Yeah,
gonna,
you
yeah.
can't operate like this, like you said, bills and income. Because if you get sick and you're out, God forbid you get COVID and they force you to leave the salon for a week, week and a half, and we're on commission, what do you do then?
You got
What do you do then
zero.
when you're making zero money for a whole week, or zero, as you call it?
Oh,
So if you're making zero or zero, you have no money coming in for the week. What do? You borrow from your family, you eat less, you tell the kids no about something, or you ask the husband or the wife, whoever is the hairdresser, you ask the other one to work an extra shift. So do those things now. But you're right. So that's why I say raise the prices a little, just a little to test it. And then you'll make a little bit more money and you will lose a client or two. So it will adjust both. You make more and work a little less. You have a little bit more money to invest in the training, but you also have a little time to invest in training because when you learn something new, you have to practice it. And that's one of the biggest troubles too, is people say, I can't find anybody to pay for the cost of the hair. Maybe you have to pay for the hair. Maybe you have to pay for the products that goes on that first model or client to practice on. And so you got to really figure this stuff out. Do you want to move forward? It's going to be a little painful. There's going to be a little learning curve. It's like going to school again. And instead, people can justify college for some reason or trade school. Like they're doing hair and they're like, it's just not paying the bills. I need to do something better. I need to do something more. I need to be a nurse. That's what I need to do. That'll make me more money. Well, how do you become a nurse? It costs money and time. And when do you do it? Do you go to night school? Do you take loans out? I mean, all of those things can be done to go further in the thing you're already in. And I'm not, listen, guys, I did all the same things. I tried to do all these network marketing businesses. I tried a lot of side businesses. I bought into other businesses when I was trying to do hair also. And I did get to the point where I stepped out from behind the chair and I did learn how to manage multiple businesses with partners and teams. But in the beginning, when it's just you by yourself, it's hard to do it all. So you can do more and more efficiently right there in the hair business. There's enough money made in the hair business that
Mm-hmm.
out you can out income a doctor, a nurse, an attorney. Most of my professional friends are a little blown away at what I was doing with hair. When I was just doing extensions, I had an earache. I go in to see the doctor, and he's got his back to me. He's writing some notes. He says, "What do you do?" And I said, "Hair extensions." He said, "Tell me a little bit of how that works. Isn't that an expensive thing?" I said, "Yeah, about $1,500 for a set of extensions." He said, "And as a hairdresser, what does a hair cost you?" I said, "About $500." He said, "How long does it take you to do?" don't know who you are, but a couple of hours. He stops writing in my chart and he goes, "You're making $1,000 in a couple of hours." He's just shaking his head. I know, I know. I use you doctors as examples all the time. I mean, listen, we're not doing it every single hour. Like, I know you're making a lot of money as a doctor. He goes, not $1,000 every. I said, well, I'm not making it every 2 hours, but if you try, you can market and get to a point where you are doing nothing but extensions all day, every day. Some people do that, or hair replacement, or some other high end service. Find the thing that's making you the most money that you do more of just that, get rid of the other clients, or like you said, learn something better or more, and get to that point. Because the doctor has malpractice insurance, they mess up on a medicine, somebody dies. We have a cush job. We have fun. We make people look better, feel better, smile. Doctors are, they've got malpractice insurance. They've got to hire a bunch of nurses to help support them, whether customers come in or not, or patients, as you call it. So it's just like, and the education level and the student loans that they have to pay back. In the hair business, I think a lot of people don't get to that level of income because they didn't have the big expenses to say, oh my God, I got this mountain of debt. I better do all the stuff to make the money so I can pay it back. And then you're there and the debt gets paid off and then you're still there. That's what happens with doctors and lawyers. They pay a lot to get there, so they value it more.
Here's an investment that I made. This was before I knew about hair extensions. Or, excuse me, before I got into doing hair extensions. I was capped. I was doing, I was booking on I was booking on 30 minutes. Now, back then, doing a highlight and a base touch up in 30 minutes was considered insanely fast.
That is fast. Still
So,
fast.
and it's still fast by today's standards. So, doing two clients an hour was like, holy cow, right? And my
Right.
shampoo girl was like, okay, dude, I can't keep up between you and the other hairdressers. I can't, you're pushing out too many services per hour. So I was like, all right, let me just get a second shampoo girl and we'll just have two shampoo people. So then it come to find out within like that week, the one girl, the two girls amongst themselves just figured it out. They're like, okay, look, you do all of Eddie's shampoos and I'll do everybody else's shampoos. So I like all of a sudden had my own personal shampoo assistant. And then I'm like, wait a minute. If I have my personal shampoo assistant, what are you doing? So like if I'm pushing 2 out an hour, what do so that takes you like, let's just say 15 minutes to shampoo somebody, right? There's 4 15-minute blocks in an hour. You're doing two. What are you doing for the other 2 15 minutes? She goes, I just kind of clean up a little bit. I help the other girl. I sit down, I don't know. Well, nothing. I go, haha. So I can push out two more clients per hour.
Yes.
Now, how do I do that? Because I am at my limit. I could only push two out. I went and got myself a personal assistant, like a stylist assistant. So
Yeah.
now I went from booking on 30 minutes, I started booking on 15 minutes.
Right.
And I would have my stylist assistant, complete the service for like I do all the important bits,
Right.
but then I figured it out. Some of the labor intensive stuff that I don't necessarily need to be there for, I had the assistant do it. So now I went from booking on 30 minutes down to 15 minutes. I went from
Perfect.
two clients production an hour to four clients producing per hour. Now the shampoo girl, she's just nonstop. She's just sitting there breaking her
Right.
back doing
More
shampoos all day,
efficient.
swimming in the bowl, right? But but I doubled. I literally doubled my income just from getting a second, just from investing in an assistant.
Somebody make money. The assistant was probably more out of school or not a very busy stylist and looking to make money. So she could have either she or he could have went and started somewhere where they're just doing it slowly, hoping for clients, or they go work under somebody like you who's doing it. There's a lot of experience that happens there too.
Yeah, and then one of the things I figured it out. One of the things I realized was when the assistant got good enough, she wanted more and she wanted a raise. And when
Sure.
instead of increasing her pay, I gave her a chair. And then I handed off my pain in the butt clients who I can't stand They like her way better anyway. She got a way better personality than I did, right?
Right. And you got a new assistant.
And I got myself a new assistant. And then that assistant that now is a stylist, proper stylist, she
Right.
took over my price range. Well, I can't be the same price range with my freaking new stylist. So by default, I had to raise my prices. Now I have a new assistant at a new price point. I'm getting new clients at that new price point. I'm still doing 4 per hour, but because I'm mental, I started doing 5 per hour just because I wanted to see how I can one up myself.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a second shampoo assistant. Now I got like 2 dedicated. I had my own salon within my own salon. Like
Right.
it was insanity. But I was pushing out services. Now I tripled my income because I got my prior assistant who's now a stylist. I'm making commission off of her. We're splitting the bill because that was half my clientele I handed off.
Right. Right.
She's building her own book. She's starting to make money. She got to the point where she ended up getting an assistant in order to double her money. We became like, it was a joke. It became like this marketing, like this pyramid. Remember the old pyramid things?
Yeah.
Like you get a somebody under your downline and
Right.
your downline.
And I'm glad you told that story because in my own salon, I've got hairdressers that will not work with an assistant. And so
Will
I
not.
will not.
They're
Right.
mental.
Well, it is. It's true, but it is a mental block, and it's one of my best stylists, technically. But she can't do it because she's been doing it this one way for a long time at another salon. She comes in and works with us, and she sees a couple of my stylists using helpers and other stylists to do some parts of the work, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, they're making more money because they're using help." But the few times she's tried help, it hasn't been so successful. She's had somebody shampoo. Well, it wasn't like she did. The customer complained a little. So this is why some people don't use assistants. And then she had somebody help blow dry and style hair. Well, the client complained, oh, she burned my head, or it took too long, or she doesn't blow dry like you do. And then the curling iron, it's like, oh, the ends were a little frizzy. They didn't quite get it as smooth as you do. So those are the challenges, and I get them. Those are the challenges why some people don't do an assistant. Go ahead. I know you got opinions on that.
Those are the yes, those are the challenges. The thing with an assistant, it's an investment. You can't think an assistant is a free helper or a not free, but like a paid. Obviously you're paying the assistant, but you can't think of them as like they are your an extension of your own skill
They're
and,
not
and just
equal. That's right.
automatically, and they're not equal. It is an investment. So you have to discover what is your personal skill set. What are you the best at? And what to you during the service is mundane, is boring. That's the part that the assistant does for you. And then you come in afterwards and you finish off with your skill set. You
Yep.
finish off, you finish that off. You put the final touches, you put the sprinkles on there or whatever it is,
It's it's a growing experience. I agree with you. So let's just take one example, like blow drying. I mean, getting hair wet to dry, sure, there's some skill involved, but a lot less skill than cutting hair or applying color. So you assistant, you have to work with them maybe on a day off, or with a client on a day when it's slow. Show them what you want. You interview assistants, have them blow dry and style hair in front of you. And if they just can't do it, maybe you just don't hire that one also. But yeah, you get the assistant to blow dry and style, and then you say, listen, we need to do it this direction here or there to get a little more volume here or there. Or even before they blow dry each client, you say, look, I want you to blow dry all in this direction because I need more lift here or there. And then when you curl iron or flat iron, do it in this. So you still give the guidance and the direction. And then, like you said, you come and do the finishing touches. And then those finishing touches are watched really closely by the assistant, who then hopefully can start to do it instead of you doing it. So, right, there's a learning, growing experience for the assistant
Here's
also.
another thing I discovered. So going off of the example you just gave, I tell my assistant, start drying this hair until it's not dripping wet anymore, and then come get me. And then she'll leave the client, she'll come over. Now I'll come over, and as I'm finishing doing the final smoothing out or putting the wave or whatever the style is going to become, I start talking it through. I'm literally teaching.
Right.
I'm doing it. I'm teaching her as she's watching, but now the client is listening. And I'm using that as an opportunity to say, now,
Everything.
when I'm always double dipping. So because everything is a learning experience, and if my thought process is this, the more somebody understands what's going on, the easier it is for them to make a decision as to what they need to be doing, whether it's the assistant or the client for that matter. So I
Yep.
say to the assistant, I'll say, look, we're using this product. Look at how it's smoothing out this hair. Look at how it's protecting, the condition. Look at the shine that's reflecting. And then the client's like, wait, what's that product? I'm like, no. I already told you about this product. You never bought it from me. You tried to go to freaking Ulta with your stupid 20%. No. You don't get to listen to this. You
You
don't get
can't have
this.
it.
Yeah, you can't have this, right?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Then after we get done, she's like, I want that product. I walk away. She tells the assistant, I want that product. What was that product?
Reversing it on them. Yeah, I like that. I like that. So the talking about it sells. Okay, so this is the beginnings of a platform artist for you hairdressers out there that always want to be on a stage. Like, put me on a stage, I'm good, or I want to be good. No, get good. Get to where you can control and organize a crowd of what's going on, and have an assistant. If you can teach an assistant, if you can teach the client what you're doing and the assistant at the same time, that is the practice for what happens on a stage. And teaching many stylists, like we'll be doing in what, not this weekend, but next, right? In Charlotte, North
Oh, it's
Carolina.
coming up. Yeah, that's right. We're going to be in
I'm
Charlotte.
packing up everything on the table right now to go do that. So we'll probably go live a few times there. Maybe we'll do one of these there or something. But
Oh, fun.
uh,
Okay.
yeah, so I think it'll be, bring some kind of device so it can happen. I think I can do it on my phone. I'm not really sure because that's how we did the first few. Oh my God, it's only been 30 minutes and I think I'm done with this topic because I said it all so fast.
It's a very passionate topic.
Yeah,
It's a very passionate topic.
I literally covered all my notes plus quite a bit more. And I hate that. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't hate it, but I feel like people might be tired of hearing it. But it's almost like raising your prices is my answer to so many hairdresser problems. It's weird how it feels like it's like the center. It feels like it's Rome, you know? It's
I
like the
mean,
center of
look, at the
of
end of the day, everybody knows the game. Like, it's not a secret, right? The clients understand. They're
that's
coming
true.
in with $20 Starbucks. They're coming in with, you know, they spend $400 or $200 on the fake Louis. Like, the clients are spending money. And
Yeah.
they're coming in and they understand that the stylist needs to make money. They know they're paying for a service. It doesn't
Well, you
matter
say
how
that.
friendly they
You
think you,
say
you
that. I think you're right, but listen to this. You reminded me of this funny story. We had a consultant one time come in and show us how to raise prices.
okay.
And and I had the stylist telling the client, it's so funny. Telling the client, guess what? I got a promotion. And the client immediately says, "Congratulations," but in the middle of the word starts thinking, "Wait a minute, I'm the one paying for this second." So you say they get it, and they do, but it takes them a minute sometimes because we would have them, put a sign on the mirror that said something like, "Congratulations, Laura has been promoted to a level 3 or 4 stylist," or whatever was higher, or a named higher stylist, a senior stylist, and the client's like, "Congratulations." What what does that mean? I mean, you pay more. and and maybe you just, a lot of hairdressers feel like if I go to a hair show or I learn a new technique, that gives me the reason to charge more. You don't need that reason. You could just say Bernard said.
You could
Just say
just
Bernard said, I need to charge more, and just raise your prices. So let me give you the. This is a good learning experience. Let me give you the one big learning experience, which means I screwed up and lost a lot of money when I say learning experience. Let me give you the one big learning experience I learned about raising prices that you do not want to do. And that is, do not tell everybody at one time that your prices went up. So I've had people do it in a few different ways. Back in the old days, it was a newsletter. I sent a newsletter out by paper, but it could be an email now. It could be a social media post. Guess what, everybody? I went to a hair show. I'm more valuable. All of our new prices are, and that is not the way to do it. What happens is you give your clients way too much time to think about it, fester a little bit, come in with a bad attitude, or possibly start looking for another stylist at that price or a lower price because they're like, I can't believe it. And people are a lot meaner behind your back than they are to your face. They're going to be talking about you, maybe calling that friend that also goes to you and figure out what are we going to do? Maybe we go somewhere else. So, in my experience, what I learned, and this is part of the safety in the way of raising your price, you could literally do it today. And we've done it in a meeting before and told the receptionist or salon coordinator, go up to the front desk, raise all of Vivian's prices. She's there by 10% or 12%. And then as the clients come in, you know, these days almost everybody's paying with a credit card, but back in the day, some clients would come in with a pre-written check. Hardly people even hardly even use checks anymore. But they'd come in and we'd say, well, today it's going to be $105 instead of what, $95. And a lady's like, oh goodness, I already wrote the check. Like, you know what, it's fine. This time we'll go ahead and accept that. But just so you'll know, prices have gone up a little bit. And they're like, okay, thank you. Or they're like, wait, what? Or they complain. But deal with it one at a time, because what happens is most of them will pay the new price. Some don't have to. Some will pay the new price and just not tip this time because they're going to teach you a lesson. There's all kind of things going on. But what does happen is most of them pay the new price here and now and on this day and accept it and realize, wow, it didn't kill me. It wasn't that painful. No big deal. But they don't get to think about it for very long. And you can talk to them about it and smooth it over. And I mean, come on, altogether, it's less than a meal out. I mean, less than that Starbucks visit, and most of them are very nice about it. So, God forbid you accidentally went up a little too much and it's not going smoothly. Maybe you're not having the right conversations. And 3 days later, you've got like 10, 12 clients that are just furious about the price increase, say they're never coming back. They're talking bad about you and you know it. You can adjust. Maybe you did raise them. Maybe you went up $25 on everything because you were really feeling full of yourself. And you're like, okay, I need to back it all down a little bit. I screwed up. So you probably won't screw up doing it, but it's just a comfort level in your head. If you just don't tell anybody, start now and just have it gives you something to talk about with every single client. So we've adjusted. I try not to say we went up or our prices went higher. I say adjusted. So we've adjusted our prices a little bit to reflect all the new world changes and everything. Everything's more expensive. Oh, I know, I know. And so the new prices are, and here's the list, had it printed out or whatever. And so then they're like, you can kind of talk about it and justify it with each one. And as you have the conversation, you're going to learn from each client, like the very first problem they have with what you said was, what do you mean something went up? That didn't go up for my whatever. Then you're like, oh yeah, I shouldn't say that next time. So each time you have the conversation with the client, it might take 2 or 3 clients to adjust this sales pitch conversation or whatever. It also gives you something new to talk about with the clients instead of the same old, and that safety net of maybe not raising your prices or raising them less because you might have pushed it a little too far. Does that make sense? Anything
It
to add to
makes
that?
total sense. The options, I learned this from technology. So I bought my wife a phone. And when we were looking at the models, you could get this model for this much, you could get this model for this much more, and you could get this model for that much more. And there's options. So you feel good because you're like, oh, I got options. So then I'm like, well, if I get her the lowest model, I'm super cheap. If I get her the most expensive model, she doesn't need that. And I'm not paying that kind of monies. We'll go for middle of the road, right? But then I'm talking to a friend of mine. Oh no, you got to get her the top of the line model. You have to get her the top of the line model. You got to pay the extra bucks. It's worth it in the long run. You won't, you won't regret it. So then I start realizing at the salon, I tell the client when I do the consultation, during the consult, I'll say, we could do your hair this way, and this is what it costs. We could do your hair this way, and it's going to cost this much more, but your hair is going to do this much more. And then all of a sudden, I start to realize most clients, they start thinking about it in the moment. And they're like, well, what do you think I should do? I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. I'm just giving you your options. I'm letting you know you could keep doing, and then like it depends how much I like the client. Because if I really like the client, I'll say, look, listen, love, you could keep doing this. It's fine. It's obviously working. You know it's working. I said, but if you ever get an idea and you want to try something else, right? Let's try this out. Worst case scenario, you don't like it. At least you know what we've been doing. It's been working, right? And if I,
Back.
yeah, we go back to doing what we're doing. Now, if I don't like the client, I'll say, look, this is why I'm giving you the new options because you need this crap, okay? Your hair is crap. So it really depends on how you deliver the message and how you're promoting it. But the point of the matter is you're giving them the option at the same price point where they're currently at because that's where they're comfortable. And then you're giving them the second option, which is slightly more expensive. It's the newer upgraded model. But you have to make sure that the value is there. It is going to be worth them spending that extra money. You're not just, there is a difference between gouging and actually doing your value, doing your skill.
That's
And I
right.
think the moral of
That's really where
today's,
the mindset is. That's where the mindset is. I think most people think raising prices is gouging. Well, I'm at the top of my market. If I go higher, I'm gouging.
yeah.
Oh,
And
because
and
you
it's
should.
not. Everything we've been talking about is skill. What is your skill? and
Yeah.
and that's what it is. Now, here's a magic that happens. I see a lot of videos and I see a lot of articles, business articles, I'm talking about financial stuff, and it's always things I wish I knew when I was poor. Or it says, or articles will say, I wish everybody was rich so they can also know this. There is something magical that happens when you get above and beyond your market value, however you want to call it, too
That's
expensive or the most expensive. When you hit another tier of income, there is a magical thing that happens that you never realized existed. And now you, by default, start offering way more value and services to your clientele than you ever realized possible. And all these things about how we want to do so good for our clients, you need the income to be able to provide all the magical things you want to your clientele. And the only way to do that is to get into that income bracket. And the only way to do that is to achieve that skill set to get to that income bracket. That's my takeaway.
that is good. So here's an exercise that salons can do. If you're working with another group of hairdressers and you're trying to up the salon experience for everyone in the salon. I don't remember how or where I got this idea, but it's mind opening. It's just mind expanding. We all got to sweep and clean the floor first, but we all laid on
I'm
the
gonna write this
floor.
down.
You might want to get the whole team staff. You all lay on the floor. I don't know why, because it's kind of weird and supernatural, super spiritual. I mean, it can be supernatural if you start floating. But we all lay on our backs with our heads close together. So the whole team lays. It's so that you don't have to close your eyes, but you can't see each other because you're all just kind of staring at the ceiling, or you have your eyes closed, or you turn the lights off. It's like a mind expanding exercise. You lay in a big circle so you can get a lot of people together with their heads and brainstorm. And each person says, if money didn't matter, how would we treat a client from beginning to end? Like, what will we do? And so it's hard at first because you don't realize how closed down your brain is. Just start talking about the most amazing experience. I'll give you a couple of examples because I can see you still have a closed mind. Uh, Start talking about, it's starting to open a little now. I can see it. But start talking about the most amazing experience. I mean, first thing you're thinking is we're just going to do great hair. But imagine this, we are going to have valet, maybe for the clients. They don't have to park in a parking lot somewhere. Just pull up in front. We'll have somebody park their car for them. Wait, let's go a little step further. Let's go pick them up from their house and bring them
Oh,
in.
that's cool.
And or maybe when they come, we they come into the salon and then we uh, have their oil changed for them or their car cleaned inside and out because they're here with their car. Let's fully detail the car also. Then when they come inside, what is their experience inside? How much? Forget about money for a minute. That's the mind expanding part. If money didn't matter for the client or for you, and we're not limited in our environment here, what would we change in this environment to make the experience so ridiculous. And the reason you do this, you talk about things that nobody can afford. We can't afford, they can't afford, because sometimes in this exercise, a couple of little things pop out that you're like, we can do that one. It's amazing. Why aren't we doing that? That's the kind of things that just kind of accidentally pop up in the middle of this. So you got to just go super extravagant with the service. When a client sits down in a chair, maybe we have two manicurists that work on both hands and give them a manicure, both hands, and pedicure at the same time. They're getting their feet done. Maybe they're getting a little massage done if they want. How much of an experience can you provide? And you just let each person come up with another idea and just start talking through the most extravagant things you've ever heard of, things you've never heard of, things you could add to the salon. I mean, talk about remodel, redecorating. Act like you got millions of dollars to change what the place looks like, feels like, provides, just anything and everything. And it'll just be a good mind opening exercise. And then all of a sudden, you'll actually think, we can do some of these things and it wouldn't cost that much money. We've done this a few times through the years, and then we did actually have oil change service at one point in the salon. We've done car washing. That was some of the things that came out of it. That's why I mentioned them. I'm like, we can get people's cars washed, and they'll probably pay for it. We can make that a money making thing, and I mean, it's a convenience thing. The customers were happy to have their car washed while they were here, and it was when my kids were teenagers looking for ways to make money. So we just started calling all the customers during the week and say, "Hey, Miss Judith, while you're here, Bernard's kids started a car washing business. You want to get your car washed while you're here getting your hair done?" Sure. They were so mad when my kids grew out of that. Nobody wanted to do it anymore. They're like, it was convenient to get my car washed when I came. They did such a great job. Do you know I got to go to a car wash now? And so, I mean, there's just good and bad with it, but it was one of the things that came up, and I'm like, we're not going to valet them, but we could wash them.
No, look, Saturday nights, like the 2 hours before closing, I would go over, I would send one of the assistants, or I would go over, depending on what was going on, we had a grocery that was like right next door, and I'd get the cracker tray. You get like some cracker cheese and whatever the ham is, or whatever the meat is.
Yeah, charcuterie board.
Yeah, and I get a couple of those. I'd lay them out, and then we'd get a couple of bottles. Now this was back then.
Oh, y'all did the drunk brainstorming.
Oh my God. Well, no. I did it with the clients. I would do it every Saturday, the last 2 hours before closing, and I would have a drink with a client, and I would say, how are you enjoying? Like, it would literally be a critique thing, like a yeah. How are you liking the salon? What are you thinking of the services? What's going on? They're like, well, if you keep offering this, 5 stars all the way around, But then some of the clients would.
But then you're like, but I'll be drunk by the end of the day.
I do way better hair. I'm way more creative. No, but some of the clients would say, hey, you know what? Blah, 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 blah. So it all worked out. At the end of the day, we can say everything we're saying right now however we want to. It's because we care. We really do want to help people. You're just way more polished about it. I'm a little bit more rough around the edges.
I've got a consultation in 12 minutes.
Well, we're done anyways.
So we got to wrap this up.
Oh, you want to bring her on here? We could teach people how to do consult.
No. No, but thank you for the offer. So nice.
All right. See, throw that in your brainstorming.
I could just leave you with these ladies if you want to keep talking, but I have to run. You better wrap this.
We're good. All right, everybody. Look, you know what? Throw us a couple of comments. What are your guys' idea? Let's get like a little share thing going on. Help each other out, right? What makes you, why do you feel topped off? Why do you feel like you can't move up? Or what have you done to move up? And what are some of the ideas that you've done in your salons? Or what are some of the ideas that salons you visited as a client? What have they done that really impressed you and made you happy? Thank you guys.